So good morning, and thanks a million for joining me on the yoga mat this morning. This week's focus is on the lower back and pelvis. So I'm a very interested area and an area of the body that a lot of us do tend to get pain or issues over a lifetime. There's very few people that at some stage of their life aren't going to experience some kind of lower back pain. In the older population, it's more to do with degeneration of the spinal area, and just over time those discs becoming compressed. But in kind of the younger or middle generation, often it's more to do with having that kind of tightness in the hips and that disengagement with the core muscles, and then that puts a lot of extra strain and pressure into the lower back. And then in time, that's generally where, if we do have back pain, it generally starts in the lower back because of that. So if you kind of think of the pelvis as a lovely large bone of the body, and it tilts forward, it tilts back, and our hip muscles and our core muscles are all about holding that pelvis in place and stabilizing the pelvis so that the limbs attached to them can work really efficiently. So when that pelvis becomes kind of lodged, okay, so say the hips, like the hip flexors become really tight, that pelvis is going to kind of start to be pulled or dragged forward. So tight hips, then that front of the core is going to become disengaged. So if you imagine just a band of muscle to the front of the body, it's going to be overstretched and really hard to kind of engage with when we try. And then likewise, so if I just turn to the side here, it probably makes more sense. So tilted pelvis, you'll notice I've got a lovely C shape into my lower back. So that's our compression. So what I want to do is basically I want to release those hips. I want to start to engage with the frontal core muscles. So this is going to happen. And then you see that C shape kind of shallows out. And now I can start to engage with the lower back muscles a little bit better. So although we'll be releasing into lower back, we'll be releasing into the hips, we'll also be trying to re-engage those muscles that basically encompass the whole core and structure of our body. And if we can get them working right, hopefully we can take strain off the hamstrings, the quads, the lower legs. So all of it's very much connected. But if we start here, hopefully we're on the right road. So we're going to start in a nice, easy cross-legged seat, getting as comfortably as you can. We're going to relax the shoulders back and just notice how we're seated straight away. So notice if the shoulders have kind of slumped forward and we're already kind of compressing into the front of the body. We're going to press the hands into the legs. See if we can press the chest forward, draw the shoulders back, and then sit a little bit taller. So starting to engage with those postural muscles. We're going to inhale, press the chest all the way over to the right. We'll bring it to center, all the way over to the left. And as we exhale, tuck the chin, we're going to round between the shoulder blades and continue with your own breath. Nice full circles here. So as we inhale, we're taking the gaze forward. And as we exhale, take the gaze back toward the belly. And see if we can breathe deeply in and out through the nose. But again, feel free to sigh it out through the lips if you feel like releasing a little bit of extra tension this morning. Pressing the heels of the hands into the knees to draw ourselves a little bit further forward, to press ourselves a little bit further back. Nice deep bend to the elbows. We're rolling into the wrists, the elbows, the shoulders. Allow the head and neck move freely. So each circle get a little bit more flowy, not holding on to the movement. So no rigidity, no stiffness. Just nice, easy, fluid movement into the joints. And already feeling that lower back release, already feeling the hips release. We're going to meet back at center. We'll reverse the crisscross of the legs just to balance out those hips. And again, notice if the knees are quite high, chances are those hip flexors are a little bit tight. So again, hopefully kneading that out, we're going to inhale, press the chest all the way to the left. Bring it through center, all the way over to the right. And as we exhale, tuck the chin and round. Continue with your own breath. Feel free to close the eyes down, just really engage with the movement. So not getting too caught up at what it looks like and just enjoying that sensation of release, movement, freedom within the body. This is a really nice one to do first thing in the morning. Really any of our mobilizers. So they're quite gentle on the muscles and joints, just kind of wakening them up before going any deeper. And again, in order to engage with a muscle, we first need to mobilize into that part of the body. So if it's really tight, it's going to be really hard to engage with. Again, just loosen up, create a little bit of space. Noticing how that feels into the opposite hip. And then eventually we'll be back in center and see. We're going to open the palms to the ceiling again, sit nice and tall, and we'll inhale both arms out, reaching up. Interlock fingers, press palms to the ceiling. As we exhale, press the palms forward and really stretch between the shoulder blades. And we'll do that twice more. So a nice big stretch. As we inhale, take the gaze up. And as we exhale, press forward and release. We'll do that once more. And we'll do a little spinal twist. So we're going to inhale both arms out, reaching up. As we exhale, gently twist to the right. We place the left hand above the knee and the right hand on the ground behind us, close to the lower back. Maybe even walk the hand around the body. See if we can touch the fingertips to the outside of that left hip. So as we inhale, we're going to press the hand into the ground, lengthen. And as we exhale, gently twist. Looking over the right shoulder, we're pressing the left hand into the leg. So when we're working into our spinal twist, we want to make sure, first of all, the spine is long. So again, we're not slumping or collapsing. So we're creating space between the vertebrae. That belly button is drawn in, so we're engaging the core. And then when we start our twist, we're starting it in the lower back. We're moving it into the rib cage, into the chest, and then all the way out through the neck. So a full spinal twist here, starting from the bottom up. One more breath. And then inhale gently back through center, little twist to the left just to release. And then back to center again. Once more, we're going to reverse the crisscross of the legs, opening the palms to the ceiling. And we'll inhale both arms out, reaching up. And as we exhale, gently twist to the left, place the right hand above the knee and the left hand on the ground behind us, close to the lower back. Again, maybe walk the hand around the lower body, making sure it's not too far behind, so it's really close to that lower back. As we inhale, press the hand into the ground. And as we exhale, gently twist, pressing that right hand into the leg, seeing if we can draw ourselves a little bit more. Front of the body almost parallel to the side of the room. Notice if that left shoulder is up around the ear. So we're pressing the hand into the ground, we're sitting nice and tall. And essentially we should be able to remove that left hand and maintain that lovely length in the spine. One more breath. And then inhale gently back through center, little twist to the right just to release. And then back to center again. From here, we're going to come to lie back onto our mats. Just make sure you do have your block and your strap there beside you in case we need it. So slowly lowering our way down onto the ground. Knees are bent, feet are flat to start with. We're going to hug the right knee in and we'll straighten that left leg down. Press the way through the heel. See if we can really press the back of that left leg into the ground. So notice if the knee is bent, that hip flexor is probably a wee bit tight. Left hand is on the hip, right hand is on the knee. We'll draw a few little circles into that right hip. Either direction, we'll end up doing both nice and easy. See if we can melt those shoulder blades to the ground. Maybe the fingertips come to the knee so those circles can get a little bit larger. And if the right hip feels stable, we can bring the right hand to the ground and we're going to make those circles as large and as full and as round as we possibly can. See if we can bring the whole length of that right leg into the movement. So we're drawing the knee across the body into the chest. As we straighten the leg, actively press away through the heel. And again, exaggerate that movement. Slow it right down. Lower back is pressed into the ground. Super strong. Relax the breath. Relax the shoulders, head and neck, fully supported by the ground. We're going to reverse the circle, opposite direction. Again, nice full movement. And even as you change direction, if the hip starts to feel unstable, do use that right hand to help guide the movement. So you want to feel that you can fully release into the movement. And if the hip feels unsupported, we're more likely going to be tensing into the muscle as opposed to releasing. So again, just listening to your own body here and where it's at. Relax the breath. Notice if we're holding it, softening it deep down into the belly. And then eventually we're going to hug the right knee into the chest. Give it a nice little squeeze. Keep squeezing it in. We're going to lift the left leg off the ground. So we're hovered anywhere between 30 to 45 degrees off the ground, but just keep that lower back planted. Already start to feel those core muscles switch on. And then from here, we're going to lift from the chest. So the head and neck come off the ground, but no stress on the neck. So imagining a piece of string attached to your heart center, drawing you toward the ceiling. Keep that lower back pressed into the ground. We're going to switch legs, so we're just going to hold it here. Again, lifting from the chest, pressing away through that right heel, and then switch. And then continue alternating legs to your own breath. Don't worry so much about the count of the breath, just make sure you're breathing. Relax the shoulders, keep lifting from the chest, keep pressing that lower back into the ground. We don't want that little C shape in the lower back, nice and stable. Next time we hug the left knee in, we're going to pause, and then we're going to rest the head, rest the foot. Left hand is on the knee, right hand is on the hip. We'll start to draw a few little circles into the left hip this time. Again, either direction, we'll end up doing both. Fingertips maybe come to the knees so those circles get a wee bit larger. And if the hip feels stable, we can bring the left hand to the ground. We're going to draw those circles as large and as full and as circular as we possibly can. Pressing that lower back into the ground, melting those shoulder blades together on the ground. And notice how that hip feels. Notice if it feels a little bit more mobile. Maybe it's a little bit stiffer. Maybe it needs that left hand to support it. So again, just tuning into what's going on with those hips. So the hips don't just tilt forward and backward, they can tilt to the left, to the right. But generally they're not tilting on their own, it's those muscles supporting the pelvis that are causing those tilts, or those muscles that aren't engaging. We're going to reverse those circles opposite direction. Again, nice full movement. If the hand is on the ground, try to get the whole length of that left leg involved in the movement. Relax the shoulders, again, noticing if we're bunching into those chest muscles and focusing all that energy into the left hip. And just listening for the little pops, clicks, clunks. Again, once they're not accompanied by pain, but just noticing if we're hearing one hip a little bit more than the other. So again, just trying to get to the root story of our body, getting the full picture of what's going on. And eventually we'll hug the left knee in. We're going to hug the right knee in to meet it. We're going to do a little bit into the core here. So we're going to reach for our block. Catch and hold of the shorter ends. We're going to bring the shins parallel to the ceiling. So nice 90-degree angles at the ankles, at the knees and at the hips. And then we're going to place the block lengthways above both knees. If you don't have a block, don't worry, I'll show you a variation. We're going to hook the block in place using the elbows. Again, if we don't have a block, same position, we're just going to draw those elbows toward the ground. So we're going to be lifting that chest. So starting position, fingertips either to the side of the head, or we can lift from the chest and rest the head into the hands. I want you to keep that lower back pressed strongly into the ground. And this might be enough, we can stay here. Otherwise, you're going to join me. We're going to inhale here. And as we exhale, straighten the right leg out, hovering it off the ground. Inhale, knees together in. Exhale, straighten the left leg out. And continue with your own breath. Consciously pressing that lower back into the ground, particularly as we straighten that leg out. Lifting from the chest, so there's no stress in the neck. Maybe try placing the tongue to the top of the mouth to help release the neck muscles. And if you're still feeling stress or tension, maybe just give the head a little rest and then rejoin when you feel good and ready. Relax the breath. Working with the breath. So we're inhaling knees together and we're exhale, extend it out. Pressing that lower back firmly into the ground. We're going to do one more, both sides. Maybe get center, we'll rest the head, we'll rest the feet, we'll rest our block off to the side. We're going to bring the feet the width of the mat apart, nice and wide here. Allow the knees fall to touch. Hands are in the belly to start with. We're going to press that lower back into the ground. And this in itself is a lovely hip release, a lovely pelvic release. So particularly for the psoas muscle here, if it's tight, just hanging out here, even after a long day, after a training session, whatever the case may be, this is a really nice restorative place. You're not having to move at all, but we're taking all that pressure off the inner hips. We're going to bring a bit of movement. So we're going to open the arms into our cactus arms, so like opposite elves facing each other. Make sure those hands are on the ground, widen it if you need. We'll inhale at center. And as we exhale, drop the knees all the way over to the right as we look over the left shoulder. Inhale back through center, exhale, knees drop over to the left as we look over the right shoulder, and continue with your own breath, gently windscreen wiping those knees side to side. Again, make sure the feet are wide enough apart that the opposite knee has space to fall behind the opposite foot. So we shouldn't have to move those feet from position at all. And we're trying to draw those knees all the way to the ground or as close as we can. So we're getting a little bit of space into both the inner outer hip, lower back, space into the chest. Each time we come through center, really pressing the lower back and glutes into the ground. So we're getting a nice little self massage here. And then eventually we meet back at center. Again, we'll hug those knees into the chest. We're going to release the grip. We're going to bring the shins parallel to the ceiling. Nice 90-degree angles at the ankles, at the knees, and at the hips. And we're going to reach those arms up toward the ceiling. Palms face each other. Going to imagine that you're holding a ball between the hands. So that's about the space, small ball. Lovely. From here, we're going to inhale, straighten the left leg and bring the right arm all the way behind. But I want you to make sure that lower back is pressed into the ground. Inhale to center. Exhale, straighten the right leg, left arm behind. Inhale, center, and continue alternating legs, but keep one shin parallel to the ceiling, one arm toward the ceiling each time. So a little bit of coordination here. And again, the important thing, to keep that lower back pressed strongly into the ground. So we're working core, we're working pelvis. We're protecting that lower back. I'm getting uncoordinated here. So again, trying to engage with the movement, not losing that focus. We'll do one more. And then we'll meet at center. And then we're going to hug those knees into the chest. Hands are rested on the shins, and we're going to open the hips. So knees fall apart, heels fall apart. We're going to make a few little circles, figure eights into that lower back, either or both directions. Allow the belly relax here. Allow those shoulders melt together on the ground. And then we'll hug the knees back together. Feet are rested to the ground. We're going to reach for our block. And we're going to place our block or our block-like object. This could be a Pilates ball. It could be a thick book once it stays in place. We're pressing the knees into the block, so we're really engaging with those inner thighs. And then we're going to lift the feet off the ground. Again, 90-degree angles at all the joints. Hands are pressed into the legs. Lower back is pressed into the ground, shoulders relaxed. All we're going to do here is hold. So we're pressing knees into the block, lower back into the ground. Hands into legs, legs into hands, really strong. So I want you to press as hard as you can with those hands and resist the movement with the legs. So although there's no movement here, we should feel really strong. Not forgetting to breathe. For 3, for 2, and 1. Gently release, hug the knees in. We're going to open the arms nice and wide, palms face the ground. We'll inhale here at center, and as we exhale, drop the knees over to the right as we look over the left shoulder. Inhale back through center, exhale, knees drop to the left as we look over the right shoulder. And continue with your own breath, really gentle here. Opposite direction. Palms are face down, so we're getting a nice little rotation into the shoulders and a nice little bit of space into the chest. And again, those knees are just dropping as far as feels good or as far as the spine will let them. You might notice one side they go a little bit further. And meeting back at center. Same again, 90-degree angles at the ankles, at the knees, at the hips. Hands are to legs. We're going to press the knees into the block, lower back into the ground. Really pressing those hands into the legs. Resist the movement as we press the legs back into the hands. Super strong here. Really holding that space. For 3. For 2. And 1, gently release, draw the knees in, arms extended out in line with the shoulders, palms down. We'll inhale centered as we exhale, knees to the right, gaze to the left. Inhale back to center, exhale, knees to the left, gaze to the right, and continue with your own breath. Keep pressing the knees into the block or a block-like object. If we don't have it, just make sure that the knees are together so one isn't tracking forward of the other. Keeping those shoulders glued to the ground. And then we'll meet back at center. Lovely. Okay, so again, knees into the block, shins parallel to the ceiling. So again, if you don't have a block, it's about the space of your fist between your knees. You're pressing the knees toward each other, but not to touch. Arms are extended up towards the ceiling, palms face each other. This time we're going to keep that ball in place. So hands are going to stay parallel. We're going to inhale here. And as we exhale, bring the arms back overhead as we straighten the legs. Press away through the heels, but really press that lower back into the ground. So notice as the heels come a little bit closer toward the ground, that lower back wants to lift. We're going to inhale back to center. And then exhale, lengthen it out. Continue here with your own breath, super strong. If we have the block, really pressing those knees into the block. So we're keeping those inner thighs engaged throughout the movement. Nice big stretch as we reach those arms back overhead. And again, super conscious of that little C shape underneath the lower back. We don't want it. We're going to stabilize that lower back. And we're going to do 2 more. Last one. And then we can release the block off to the side. And then we're going to straighten the legs all the way down. We're going to bring the arms back overhead and take a lovely full body stretch here. See if we can reach the fingertips and toes a little bit more on the right, reach a little bit more on the left. So we're kind of shifting the hips, we're shifted through the shoulders, trying to create as much space into the joints, as much length into the body as we can. Lovely. And then gently hugging those knees into the chest. We're going to crisscross the ankles. Options to make your way anyway to seated. You can rock and roll with me just the once. We're going to bring ourselves forward into a nice strong seat, front of the mat. And then straight away we're going to bring those legs out in front. Knees are together, feet are together. There's about a foot between the heels and the sit bones. Hands are to the shins. I want you to press the chest forward, draw the shoulders back, and see if you can get a nice straight line the whole length of the back spine. So notice if we've collapsed into the spine, using those hands on the shins to bring ourselves forward. We're going to try to maintain that lovely length into the spine. Extend the arms forward out in front, palms face each other. Knees are together, feet are together. We're going to gently roll back. If you're finding this uncomfortable on the sit bone, feel free to cushion it, so like with a little towel. As we lean back, we're going to start to get nice and light into the tippy toes. And we can stay here, just lifting from the chest, lengthening from the spine, find a point out in front to fix your gaze. If that feels good, we'll bring the right shin parallel to the ceiling, touch down. Left shin parallel to the ceiling, touch down. Continue alternating shins. Maybe do a little flutter kick, or we can bring both shins together. But again, not losing that lovely length in the spine, not losing that lovely open heart. Staying here, focusing. Breathing, lifting for 3. For 2. And 1. Crisscross of the ankles, we're going to gently fold forward and release.
Gently rock the hips side to side, rock the head side to side, just releasing any little bit of tension. Coming to stillness, we'll tuck the chin, slowly roll back up to seat. Again, same starting point, feet are together, knees are together, foot between the heels and the sit bones. Arms extended forward, palms face each other. Find that point to focus your gaze, opening into the heart, lengthening through the spine. We're going to gently roll back. Again, coming up onto the tippy toes. Stay here, maybe alternate chins. Maybe bring both chins together. And again, stay here if you want to challenge it further. We're going to imagine we're holding a ball between the hands and we're going to lift that ball above the shins. We'll inhale here at center. And as we exhale, we're going to drop the ball all the way over to the right. Again, this can be done with the tippy toes on the ground. Inhale, center. Exhale, drop it over to the left. Gaze follows. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, to the right. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, to the left. Continue with your own breath. So again, if you just want to focus on that torsion in the core, you can always do this with the toes on the ground. The lesser points of contact on the ground, the more we're going to engage with those deeper intrinsic stabilizing and balancing muscles. But again, that can come in time. We're going to meet back at center when you're ready. Crisscross the ankles, gently fold forward and release. Release the head, release the neck. Rocking the hips side to side, rocking the head side to side, just releasing, releasing, releasing. Gently tuck the chin, slowly come back up. Last round, I promise. Feet out front, knees together, feet together, foot between the heels and the sit bones. Arms extended forward, palms face each other. Find that point to focus your gaze. We're going to gently roll back. Again, holding it wherever feels comfortable, rounding. We're going to press that chest forward, lengthening through the spine, coming up onto the tippy toes. Maybe alternating shins parallel to the ceiling, maybe bringing both shins together, but keep lifting from the chest. Maybe lifting that ball above the shins. We're going to inhale here, and as we exhale, twist to the right as we drop the ball. Inhale back to center. Exhale and drop it to the left and continue with your own breath. So again, any variation that feels good for you. You want to feel challenged, but you want to feel stable. If you want to bring more challenge into the movement, you can try straightening one leg. Each time we drop that ball to the side, stabilizing the movement. Last one. We meet back at center, crisscross and gently fold forward. One last time, release. Release the head, release the neck, rock the hips side to side, just softening the body to the ground and noticing our breath. Maybe together taking a nice deep inhale through the nose. And then just sigh it out through the lips, let it go. Gently tuck the chin, slowly walk back up to seat. We're going to bring the hands forward out in front. Shifting the body weight forward, we're going to step back onto the knees and we're going to find ourselves any which way we can into a nice strong tabletop, the center of our mat. Shoulders over, elbows over it, elbow creases face forward. Knees are hip width distance apart and the hips are stacked over the knees. Toes can be tucked or untucked, whatever feels good. Notice if the belly's collapsed here, I want you to draw the belly button in, almost like we want to touch the lower back with the belly button. We're going to inhale, draw the chest forward as we take the gaze up and arch the spine. Exhale, press into the ground, curl through the spine, take the gaze back to the belly. Inhale, gaze goes forward and up, arching the spine. Exhale, press into the ground, curl through the spine, tuck the chin to the chest and continue with your own breath. Noticing those hips, I want you to keep the hips high. We're not sitting back toward the heels. All the movement here is from the lower back to the base of the neck. So we're just trying to create as much space as we can between every single vertebrae. So imagining the spine like a string of beads, and we're trying to work those beads apart from each other. trying to create as much space as we can. And any part of the movement that feels particularly good, feel free to pause and just really breathe into that space. And likewise, any part of the movement that feels particularly rigid or stiff, likewise pause and see if we can breathe a little bit more into that space. Relax the breath. The eyes are closed. We're just really engaged with the movement. So forget about what it looks like and just enjoy that sensation, that feeling of release, movement, fluidity within the body. Again, we're creating waves with the spine. And visualizing those waves, visualizing those vertebrae as they draw apart, creating that space. And eventually we meet back in our tabletop. Left hand stays where it's at. We're going to straighten the right arm out in front, and then we're going to straighten that left leg behind, pressing away through the heel. Again, notice if the belly's collapsed. See if we can draw the belly button in, even if it means that left leg drops a little bit. If we can, we're going to follow the right middle finger with the gaze. As you lift that back leg, I want you to feel the glute, the hamstring, and the lower back engage. Inhale, right knee, left elbow into touch. Exhale, extend it out and continue with your own breath. So right elbow, left knee into touch. Exhale, extend it out and lift. Continue. Making sure that left wrist is stacked beneath the shoulder so there's no stress in the wrist joint. And only if we want to challenge the balance, we're following that right middle finger with the gaze. So a moving point of focus. Otherwise, we can keep the gaze fixed to the ground. Try not to collapse into that left arm. Slow the movement right down so we're fully engaging. One more. We're going to meet in extension with that right arm out front, that left foot behind, and then we rest the right hand to the ground. We're going to land on the ball of the left foot. Gently press away through the heel. Get a nice little stretch here for 3, for 2, and 1. We're going to inhale, lift the left leg, and as we exhale, we're going to bring the left leg all the way over to the right. Land on the ball of the foot and gently sink the hips, holding it here for 3, for 2, and 1. Inhale back to center, and as we exhale, we'll bring the left knee back into meet right. Same deal, opposite side. Right hand stays grounded, shoulders stacked over elbow and wrist. We'll straighten the left arm out in front, press back through the right leg. Again, drawing the belly in, pressing actively through the heel, maybe following the left middle finger with the gaze. We're going to inhale, left elbow, right knee into touch. And then exhale, extend it out and lift that back leg. Inhale, slowly in. Exhale, extend it out. That right arm, right shoulder, super strong. Pressing the hand into the ground. Again, moving point of focus, following the left middle finger with the gaze if you want to challenge the balance. Otherwise, gaze stays to the ground. Stabilizing the movement. Slowly, slowly. Strong, controlled movement. Last 2. Last 1, and we're going to meet in extension with the left arm out front. We'll rest the left hand down. We're going to land on the ball of the right foot. Gently press through the heel. Nice little stretch for 3, for 2, and 1. We'll inhale, lift the back leg, and as we exhale, bring the right leg all the way over to the left, landing on the ball of the foot, and just gently drop the hip for 3, for 2, and 1. Inhale, right leg back, and as we exhale, we bring the right knee in to meet left. We're going to tuck the toes under. Knees and feet are about hip width distance apart. We're going to sit back toward the heels and gently walk the hands forward out in front. Sinking the belly, sinking the chest, resting the head to the ground or to a block-like object if it doesn't quite reach. So anything at all, just make sure the head and neck are supported. Pressing the heels of the hands into the ground. See if we can draw those sit bones back a little bit further, feeling that space into the lower back. And again, we can pause here just for a couple of moments, feeling that space between the shoulders as we melt the chest toward the ground. As we press the heels or the sit bones back toward the heels, feeling that release into the lower back and into the glutes. And just softening with each exhale. And looking back between the toes, we're going to press the hands and feet into the ground. We're going to lift the knees and we're going to press those hips as high as we can toward the ceiling. Gently lower the heels down toward the ground as far as they can go. We're going to press the ground away. See if we can draw the chest a little bit closer toward the mat. Lifting those hips and really feeling that space into the lower spine. We're just going to gently paddle out the feet, allowing opposite heel, melt softly toward the ground. Gaze is relaxed. We're just looking back between the knees, maybe even toward the belly. Maybe give the head a little shake to remind it to relax. Noticing the breath. Notice if we're holding it. Notice if it's caught up in the chest. And just see if we can draw it a little bit deeper down into the belly. Softening, softening with each step. We're going to look forward between the hands. We're going to gently walk our way to the front of the mat. We're going to come through a lovely wide-legged forward fold. So I want you to bring those feet wider than the width of the mat apart. If you find your feet are slipping on the surface, you can turn sideways on your mat so you have a little bit of grip. Fingertips are in line with the big toes, either on the ground or on a block or on a block-like object. We want nice straight legs, but also a nice long spine. So again, bring the feet wider or use an object and place those hands on the object. Left hand stays grounded. We're going to inhale the right arm up toward the ceiling, opening the heart, gaze follows up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, left arm up and open the heart. Exhale, fold, and continue with your own breath. Weight is back into the heels and hips, so we should be able to wiggle those toes quite freely. That hand that's on the ground, we're pressing it into the ground to give ourselves a little bit more leverage into the twist. Gaze is following the extended arm, if it's okay on the neck, and we should feel a little bit more space into the upper spine and chest. This is very much a lower back release. Particularly as we exhale into that fold, I want you to fully let go. Even sigh the breath out if it feels better. We'll do one more both sides. Just let it flow, let it go. Last one. Meeting in a nice relaxed forward fold. We take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Sigh it out, release. And then gently tuck the chin. We're going to slowly, little by little, roll our way all the way up to stand. Head comes up last. And then we slowly walk those feet toward each other. Lovely. Meeting at the front of the mat, still working into those hips. We're going to get a little bit deeper this time. So similar to what we practiced last week. Coming to the front, hands to the heart, relax the shoulders, lengthening tall through the spine, really drawing the belly button in here. So finding that core. We're going to inhale. And as we exhale, we're going to step the right foot back, like we're setting up for lunge, and then we're going to bring the left foot parallel. So we're facing the side wall. We're going to splay the feet out at about 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, and they might change, but just getting nice and stable here. And then little by little, we're going to bend left knee, right knee, and slowly lower our way into our goddess squat. So get nice and low here, but only as low as feels comfortable for your hips and knees. Notice if the knees are collapsing inward. I want you to try to engage with those glute muscles to open into the hips so those knees are working outward. Sinking a little bit deeper if that feels stable. Relax the shoulders. Again, notice if the bum's popped out, we're compressing into the lower back. I want you to draw the belly button in so the pelvis is almost tilting forward here. And relax the breath. We're going to inhale, straighten the legs, bring the arms together overhead, palms together, gaze goes up. Exhale, bend the knees, hands come to heart as we lower into our goddess squat. Inhale, straighten the legs, arms together overhead, gaze goes up. Exhale, hands to heart as we lower into our goddess squat, and continue with your own breath. Again, gaze follows those extended arms up and then forward as we exhale down. So hamstrings are almost parallel to the floor here, maybe even deeper if you wish. But again, just listening to the hips, listening to the knees. Don't overdo it. I want you to feel fully supported in the movement. So you're in control of the movement. You feel stable. You feel safe in the movement. So again, generally, if something doesn't feel good, don't do it. Or just do a slightly easier version until that easier version feels good and you feel comfortable and safe going into the next. So again, just going as deep as feels good. But again, listening to your body. All the time we're drawing those inner thighs toward each other. So we're keeping that part of the body nice and stable. We're going to do one more and we're going to meet in our goddess squat. Lovely. And we can stay here. We can stay here with slightly less bent knees, or we can bring those hands to the ground or to a block or even to a chair out front. And just gently shift the hips a little bit side to side. Not too deep into the knees, just gently, gently. And again, we can stay here, just sending those sit bones back toward the ground. If you want to go deeper into your cobbler squat, we can walk those heels a little bit closer. So there's about a foot between the heels. And then we're going to gently send those sit bones back toward the ground. So again, a little bit more advanced. So only go there if it feels good. Otherwise, we can always bring the legs really wide, straighten the legs and just fall forward into a nice fold. If we're in our cobbler, we can keep the hands here or we can bring the hands to heart. We might even use those upper arms to open into the hips a little bit more. Notice sometimes if that flexibility in the ankles is a little bit restricted to the front, we might find that the heels won't quite touch the ground. So what you can do here is roll up an edge of your mat or even roll up a towel. Place the heels in the towel and then over time try to reduce the depth of that support. So this is a good one for the hips, great one for the pelvis. It's also really good if you suffer from shin splints, so for your tibialis muscles, a nice little stretch here, nice one for your ankle mobility. Relaxing here, as relaxed as you can. We're just going to breathe into that space for 3. For 2. And 1, bring the hands out in front if they're not there already. Shifting the body weight forward, we'll tuck the chin and slowly rising. And then slowly coming all the way up to stand. Head comes up last, lovely. We'll meet at the front of the mat. Take a little drink here if you need. So we've got a nice short flow sequence this morning. Coming to the front of the mat. Feet nicely grounded about hip width distance apart. Hands come to heart. Relax the shoulders, lengthening tall through the spine, drawing the belly muscles in, engaging with the legs and engaging with the core, finding that point out in front to focus our gaze. We're going to inhale both arms out, reaching up, palms together. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, gaze forward, hands to shin. Exhale, fold. Stepping right foot back to lunge, left foot back to meet it. We're finding ourselves in a nice strong plank. Shoulders over elbows over wrists, elbow creases face forward, pressing away through the heels. If it feels too much on the shoulders or the belly, we can drop to the knees, but maintain a nice straight line from the neck to the knees, otherwise neck to the heels. Holding it here, actively pressing the ground away. Think of the neck as an extension of the spine. We're not looking forward, we're not looking back, holding for 3. For 2. And 1. Exhale, knees, chest, chin to the mat. Elbows tucked in, roll the heart forward, untuck the toes, press the feet into the ground as we lift the chest. Exhale, tuck the toes, press the ground away, lift the hips. Downward dog. Stillness, walk it out or child's pose if you wish. Relax the head, relax the neck, relax the breath. Coming to stillness, we're going to inhale the right leg back and up, looking forward. Bend the right knee into the chest. We're going to shift the body weight forward to place that right foot to the front of the mat. Coming up onto the finger pads, we're pressing back through the left heel. We should feel a nice release into the hips. If we want to challenge it, we're going to bring the arms back in line with that extended left leg, pressing away through the fingertips, drawing the shoulder blades together. Gaze is slightly forward of the mat. See if we can draw the belly button in so we haven't collapsed the body onto that right leg, holding it for 3, for 2, and 1. Hands come to the ground. We'll shift the body weight forward to lift the left foot up to meet right, and then exhale, fold. Inhale, rolling up through center, hands extended up, palms together. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, gaze forward, hands to shins, flat back. Exhale, fold. Stepping left foot back to lunge, right foot back to meet it, nice strong plank. Again, staying here in our high plank, knees on or off the ground if we want to challenge it. We're going to inhale here, and as we exhale, bend the right knee, we're going to tap it to the outside of the right elbow. Inhale, back to plank. Exhale, left knee to outside the left elbow. Inhale, plank. Continue with your own breath. Try to keep the foot off the ground if you can. Getting a nice little bit of hip mobility here, as well as working into that nice strong core. Strong shoulders as we press the ground away. Again, this can be done with the knees on the ground. Last one, and both sides. Nice and strong. Keep that form meeting in our plank. We'll inhale here, and then exhale, knees, chest, chin to the ground, elbows tucked in. Roll the heart forward, untuck the toes, press the feet into the ground as we lift the chest. See if we can keep the lift, but hover the hands off the ground. Pressing those feet into the ground, drawing those shoulders back. Drawing the belly in, strong in that lower back for 3, for 2, and 1. Exhale, release, tuck the toes. Press the ground away, lift the hips. Downward dog. Stillness, walk it out. Child's pose if you wish. You give the head and neck a little shake to remind them to relax. Tuning in with that lovely deep belly breath. We're going to inhale the left leg back and up, looking forward, bend the left knee into the chest. We'll shift the body weight forward to place that left foot between the hands. Coming on to the finger pads, really pressing back through the right heel. Again, stay here. This might be more than enough. Otherwise, we're going to bring those arms back in line with that right leg, pressing away through the fingertips. So a nice straight line from the shoulder to the heel. See if we can draw the belly button in. So we're slightly lifting the belly off the leg, but we're not arching into that lower back. So still very strong in the core. Gaze slightly forward for 3, for 2, and 1. Hands to the ground. We'll shift the body weight forward to step the right foot up to meet left. And then exhale, fold. Inhale, rolling up through center. Hands extended up, palms together. Exhale, hands to heart. Well done. Second round when you're ready. Meaning at the front feet nicely grounded, hip width distance apart. Hands to heart. Relax the shoulders, relax the breath. Finding our focus point. We'll inhale both arms out, reaching up, palms together. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, gaze forward, hands to shins. Exhale, fold. Stepping, right foot back to lunge. Left foot to meet it, holding it here. Nice strong plank for 3. Pressing the ground away for 2. And 1. Exhale, knees, chest, chin to the ground, elbows in. Roll the heart forward, untuck the toes, press the feet into the ground as we lift the chest. As we exhale, we're going to release. We're going to shift our body back the mat so that our face is still on the ground. And we're going to extend the arms out front, reaching through the fingertips, pointing through the toes. So again, nice full body stretch here. Looking slightly forward between those hands. We're going to inhale the right hand and the left foot off the ground as high as we can go. Lifting, lifting, lifting. Reaching, lifting for 3, for 2, and 1. Gently release. Inhale, left hand, right foot as high as we can go. So lifting but reaching and pointing at the same time. holding it here, lifting, feeling that burning into the right, the glute, the hamstring, the lower back for 3, for 2, and 1, gently release. Next one, we're going to bring both hands only. So we're going to inhale, lift the arms, again, as high as we can go. Gaze it slightly forward, drawing the belly in, lift a little bit more for 3, pressing the feet into the ground for 2, and 1, gently release. Next one, legs only. When you're ready, inhale, lift. Again, as high as we can go. Hands are pressed into the ground, lifting, 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 holding here for 3, lifting for 2, and 1, gently release. Last one, we're going to go all limbs together, hands and feet. When you're ready, inhale, lift. Arms, feet all the way off the ground. So Superman here, floating through the air. Gaze slightly forward, lift a little bit more, holding it here, lifting for 3, for 2, and 1, gently release, let it go. Well done. We're going to make a little pillow by putting one hand on top of the other, resting the forehead, and just gently rock the hips side to side, maybe even rock the head a little bit side to side, releasing any tension build up in that lower back and glutes. Relax the breath. And then coming to stillness. We're going to bring the hands back in line with the chest. Elbows are tucked in. Tuck the toes under. We're going to press the ground away. Lift the hips. Downward dog. Stillness. Walk it out or child's pose if you wish. When you're ready, we'll inhale the right leg back and up, looking forward, bend the right knee into the chest. We'll shift the body weight forward to place the right foot between the hands. Left foot comes to meet, and then exhale, fold. Inhale, rolling up through center, hands extended up, palms together. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, gaze forward, hands to shins. Exhale, fold. Stepping left foot back to lunge, right foot to meet it, holding it here. Nice strong plank for 3, for 2, and 1. Exhale, knees, chest, chin to the ground, elbows tucked in. Roll the heart forward, untuck the toes. Press the feet into the ground as we lift the chest. Exhale, tuck the toes. Press the ground away, lift the hips. Downward dog. Last little challenge. Now this is going to start in downward dog. We can do this with the opposite knee on the ground, so just see how you go to start with. We're going to inhale the right leg back and up. As we exhale, bend the right knee. We're going to move forward into plank and touch that right knee toward the elbow. So again, this can be done with the left knee on the ground. Inhale, right leg back and up. Exhale, bend the right knee, move forward into plank. We're going to touch the knee toward the nose. Inhale, right leg back and up. Exhale, right knee to left elbow, twist, inner plank. Inhale, right leg back and up. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, right leg back and up. Exhale, right knee to right elbow, plank. Inhale, right leg back and up. Exhale, right knee to nose. Inhale, right leg back and up. Exhale, right knee to left elbow, twist. Last one, inhale, right leg back and up. This time as we exhale, right foot comes down to meet left. We'll soften the knees to the ground. Untuck the toes, sit back toward the heels. Resting the forehead either to the ground or to a block, and we'll bring those hands back by the feet just for a couple of moments here. So again, working hips and core. Making sure when we do move forward into plank, we're moving all the way. So plank meaning that the shoulders are stacked over elbows and wrists. Softening between those shoulders, softening the breath. Nearly there. We're going to bring those hands back out in front, shifting the body weight forward. We'll tuck the toes under. Pressing the ground away, we're going to lift those hips. Downward dog. left side when you're ready. And again, remember this can be done with the right knee on the ground. We're going to inhale the left leg back and up. Exhale, bend the left knee, move forward into plank as we touch the knee to the elbow. So again, shoulders stacked over elbows and wrists. Inhale, left leg back and up. Exhale, left knee toward nose. Inhale, left leg back and up. Exhale, left knee to right elbow, twist. Inhale, left leg back and up. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, left leg back and up. Exhale, left knee to left elbow. Inhale, left leg back and up. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, left leg back and up. Exhale, left knee to right elbow. Twist. Last one. Inhale, left leg back and up. Exhale, left foot comes down to meet right. We're going to slowly lower down onto the knees. Knees are about the width of the mat apart. We'll bring the big toes to touch and gently sit back toward the heels, making the little pillow by piling one hand, one fist on top of the other. Just making sure that head is supported. Gently rocking those hips side to side, releasing any last little bit of tension in the hips, the lower back. Allow the belly melt toward the ground. Allow the heart melt toward the ground. Maybe rock the head a little bit side to side, releasing any tension in the upper body. So with each exhale, just allowing the body melt a little bit closer toward the ground. And eventually we'll come to stillness here. And just listening to our breath, noticing if we've been holding it. Notice if it's caught in the chest, and just see if we can draw it deep down into the belly. Feeling the rib cage expand, feel the diaphragm lift, feel the heart melt open. And as you exhale, sigh it out, release, and let it go. And just breathe into your own count, creating as much space in the body with the breath on the inhale. And as you exhale, just sigh it out, release, and let it go. And take one more breath wherever we are. And then gently, we're going to press the hands into the ground, tuck the chin to the chest, and slowly walk the hands back toward the body until we're sitting all the way back up onto the heels. And we can bring those knees toward each other. I'm going to invite you to come back into our easy cross-legged, how we started, and just notice, if you do notice, any little bit of difference, not just into the hips, but how we're holding ourselves. So hopefully sitting a little bit taller, a little bit stronger. We're going to open the palms to the ceiling and we'll finish just like we started. Relax the breath. And we'll inhale both arms out, reaching up. Interlock fingers, press palms to ceiling. As we exhale, press the palms forward, release the breath, sigh it out and let it go. We'll do that twice more. So a nice big stretch. And release. Gently bringing the hands to heart, press the palms together, close down the eyes. And just thank yourselves for creating a wee bit of space in your morning to come to the mat, to look after yourself, to create some nice energy, some nice strength, some nice release. And hopefully take that with you into the day and into the rest of the week ahead. And thank you for sharing your practice and your energy with me. Namaste.